welcome everyone. It's going to be a really interesting and informative, however long it is. We have an hour down, but it may be that we might be finished a bit sooner. So I am Gráinne Kennedy from the Three Counties Energy Agency. We have also on the line Fabian Roussel, who is also an engineer in the Three Counties Energy Agency, and our colleague Mary Romulus, who is in the Three Counties Energy Agency in Communications. And from Wicklow Town, Wicklow Tidy Towns is Andrew Lawless. And seeing as this is an initiative that has been launched from the people of Wicklow Town themselves, I'd like to ask Andrew just to give a brief introduction, if you would, to their sustainable energy community. So Andrew, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Gráinne. As she has said, my name is Andrew Lawless, and I'm a member of the Wicklow Tidy Town Sustainable Energy Community, or SEC for short. And I want to thank everyone who has registered and who is actually attending tonight. It's great to see so many people out on a January night. Hundreds of groups like ourselves have been set up across Ireland. In County Wicklow alone, there are groups in Larne, Glenmalure, Greystones, Newtown, Bray, Blessington, and others. The SEC programme is a serious one. We have a county mentor to help us, as well as a regional mentor based in Dublin, and Wicklow County Council is also heavily involved. The County Council has appointed the consultants Three Counties Energy Agency, and they've introduced themselves and they will explain what's going to happen in a few minutes. Wicklow, as far as I can see, is in the firing line when it comes to the possible impact of climate change. In my lifetime, I've seen whole swathes of the Morrow lost to the sea. It'll probably survive my lifetime and that of my daughter, but I'm concerned about whether my grandchildren or my future great-grandchildren will get to see and enjoy the Morrow as it is. If sea levels rise by a metre or more, as could happen by 2050, you might need a canoe to get up the South Quay in a high tide rather than drive. The aim of this exercise is to generate an energy master plan for the town. And we're going to start by calculating the energy used in houses, shops, offices, clubs, and by transport. Transport is a big issue in Wicklow because of the fact that a lot of people commute out of the town for work and other activities. And this will allow us to set targets for energy reduction over the next 5 to 10 years. The more people who engage in the process, the better the plan will be. And the consultants will show you later how you can do this. Yes, the aim of the SEC is to help you with what measures you can take, will help you to find and pick contractors, will help with form filling for grants and maybe loans. But the ultimate aim is to empower everyone in the town to make their own decision, even if it is to do nothing. The decision will be yours. If we can get groups of householders or businesses to do similar work at the same time, then we can try and benefit from economies of scale by getting better prices from a larger group of contractors who might have to come from outside the county and might be more encouraged to come down to do 5 or 6 jobs rather than do 1 job. If we can get different projects together from different sectors, say domestic, non-domestic, schools, clubs, then there is a government scheme called the Better Energy Community Scheme, where grants of up to 50% are available. I know a lot of communities around the country are very keen on this. The government's target is to bring all dwellings in the country up to a building energy rating of B2 by 2030. That's only 9 years away. And this will be an enormous task, and the SEC program is very much geared to trying to achieve that. And it's important that we want to ensure that all properties are upgraded, irrespective of the financial circumstances of the household owner. There will be a lot of discussion in the future about payback periods, but it is important to remember that investing in energy improvements adds to the value of a dwelling, a business, or a club. In a well-insulated dwelling, business, or club will be more comfortable to live in, to work in and to play in. And also, by if you can reduce your energy demand, you will get some financial protection from future shocks of carbon taxes, which are expected to rise to €100 in the next few years. I encourage you to get involved in this process. Spread the word around the town. We are the county town, and we should be leading the rest of the county. We've done that with the tidy towns in the last few years. So I'm going to hand you back now to Grania, and I hope you get something out of the evening, and we'll be in touch fairly soon, or we can be contacted through the Wicklow Tidy Towns Facebook page. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you, Andrew. So I'm going to share my screen, and we'll just go through our presentation just so you can have a bit of understanding as to what's going to happen with the Energy Master Plan and what is the goal around it and how you can get involved. And just to kind of manage time fairly well, if you have any questions, if anything occurs to you, well, I'll share my screen first, but it would be great if you could type your question into the chat at the bottom of the screen, and we'll go through the questions at the end. And of course, I had please mute your microphone, but of course there was no need for that because all is already muted because of the webinar setting that we have. But definitely this is our opportunity to have a discussion with you and to get your questions. And even if something occurs to you after this session tonight, the Three Counties Energy Agency is here to work with Wicklow Tidy Towns. So we're happy to answer any questions that you have going forward. So I will just go through the presentation, and afterwards then we can have our question and answer session. So to introduce myself, as I said, I'm an energy engineer at the Three Counties Energy Agency along with my colleague Fabian. And this is our initiative that we work on. So this is delivered by the Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland, so SEAI, and over 500 communities across the country are like Wicklow Tidy Towns, and they're looking at what energy is used in their community, what opportunities there are, how can we improve the energy efficiency of our buildings. So even though tonight we're specifically talking about Wicklow Town, this is a national movement, and there's support there for Wicklow Town as it goes forward on this sustainability journey. So the Three Counties Energy Agency, why I suppose we're involved? Well, we're a non-for-profit organisation, and our whole goal is around promoting energy efficiency and sustainability, and basically making the region of, well, to start with the Three Counties Energy, which is Carlow, Kilkenny and Wexford, but we also work with Waterford, we work with Wicklow, we work with counties in the Midlands as well. But it's really about pushing forward energy efficiency, helping people to access funding, supports, anything they need, be it for your individual home, be it in your community, and we've lots of different schemes that we work on. And we have come together with Wicklow County Council, and Wicklow County Council have brought us in to deliver these energy master plans for the communities in Wicklow, because we have all this different experience of working with communities, of delivering our own projects in energy efficiency, and in working with the Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland. So we will be working with communities across Wicklow for the next year, and Wicklow is one of those communities, and we're very excited to work with Wicklow. So our main goal in this work is to complete an energy master plan for these communities. So the energy master plan, it fits into the kind of flow of work of the sustainable energy communities. So every sustainable energy community across the country, all 500 of them, they, you know, in the first stage, they look at setting goals, they look at funding, they look at organising themselves. These are all things that Wicklow Tidy Towns has done. But I'm sure Andrew would probably say, you know, always are willing to get more people involved in the different things that they're doing. But that first step is done. So Wicklow Tidy Towns have looked and saw that there's an opportunity really to examine energy use in Wicklow and basically see what opportunities will come from that. So that's where we are at the moment, is the plan stage, and that is this completing this energy plan for Wicklow. And in that plan, we will have a register of opportunities. So that is looking at various different buildings and looking at the different things that will make those buildings more energy efficient or more sustainable. And as Andrew mentioned in his introduction, these are always interventions that always make buildings more comfortable as well. It's not just about the energy savings, it's about comfort and energy, and basically having buildings that are livable and usable for many years to come. So the next stage then after that would be that we have gone through different buildings and looked at them and seen what's possible. And from that then, as a community, Wicklow Tidy Towns and with input, I'm sure, from the wider community, can identify different projects that might be able to go forward for public funding from the Better Energy Community Grants or LEADER or any of these other initiatives that might fit what you want to do as a community. But really, we can't do anything until we get a really good picture on what is the ground at the moment. So what are the buildings that might need improving? How much might that cost? What are the energy savings that we could expect? All these different things. And the Energy Master Plan is that. So that's where I suppose we're hoping to go, and the Energy Master Plan is a big part of that, collecting all that data. So in the Energy Master Plan, we have a few stages of it. So we'll do a desk study, which is around the information. There's a lot of information already available that we need to gather together and present, and get those understandings from. So if your building has had a B, or if your information is collected by the census on the age of your building, all of these different things. And sorry, I keep saying domestic buildings, but actually we're talking about community buildings, and we're also talking about businesses and maybe farms, or basically a variety of buildings across your community, and looking at transport as well. But we'll look at all these different things from a high level. So that's census data, BER data, all of these different things, and we'll gather that together. And then we take energy audits. We will do a certain number of energy audits for domestic buildings, for community buildings, and for businesses or farms, whichever. I think those buildings have to be representative of the buildings in your area, so that basically we'll do an energy audit on one building, but it may not be your building that's audited, but you'll be able to learn from it. So we'll gather all that information together, and having that local information and being sure that that's backing it up by doing the energy audits is really powerful for us, and also really powerful for Wicklow, because you have this really clear picture of the energy use and the opportunities in your community, rather than just kind of taking a guess at it. So all that information then gives us our energy baseline for Wicklow Town. So what are you using for transport? What are you using for heating? What's the breakdown of all these different types of fuel? Then we can take that information and identify opportunities. So opportunities for improving domestic buildings, community buildings, or for improving the transport opportunities. It could be looking at remote working. It could be looking at renewable energy. Now, I just have to say, when it comes to renewable energy, there isn't scope in this project to do a full feasibility study for a renewable energy project, but we can help you rule out or rule in different technologies or different things that might work for you from a renewable energy point of view. And then, of course, there's the action plan to complete the energy project. So ultimately, it'll come back down to the sustainable energy community in Wicklow Tidy Town, that it'll be about prioritising what is going to be done first and what's going to have the biggest impact maybe in your community, and there'll have to be discussion around that as to what's of benefit to the people of Wicklow Town. So to do this work, we need to do a good bit of community engagement, which is part of what tonight is about. We have an energy survey questionnaire that we'll be sending out to everyone that's on this call, and actually the people who couldn't make it tonight as well. So that's about, again, gathering that picture of energy use, of the types of fuel that are used, the kind of transport people have, and different things like that, so we can create this register of opportunities where improvements can be made. So we're here really for any feedback or queries you might have. When people, there's a certain number of buildings that will be chosen to be energy audit sites, and there'll be a lot of to and fro between ourselves and the people who have those buildings to kind of arrange audits and to gather together data. Sorry, I said a lot of to and fro, a little bit of to and fro. And then it's up to us then to analyze the data, all the survey, all the audits. This is a mammoth amount of data, but we will filter it all and make it useful for Wicklow Town. And there's a lot of back and forth between ourselves and Wicklow Town to make sure that this energy master plan, when Wicklow Town gets it, it won't just sit on a shelf. It has to be useful to the community. Otherwise, it's a waste of time. And then at the end, we will present the final results. So we'd hope that all of the people who are on the call tonight, when COVID restrictions are lifted and we have all of this stuff done, hopefully we'll be able to present at the end and maybe have a workshop and get help everyone to understand energy consumption in the area and what are the opportunities. So as I mentioned, we'll have data collection, and this is to have an energy baseline. And I suppose from Wicklow Town's point of view as well, the name of the game really is to identify projects long term that can save energy for Wicklow Town. So this is a great thing for you all as well, that when you have your baseline at the end, you can kind of look at and say, well, we have this baseline. It's sensible that we could reach this goal, give ourselves a goal of 5 years, 10 years, or that kind of amount of time, and work towards it as a community. And we're here to support you. The SEI program is there to support you as well, and there's lots of opportunities coming down the line, be it with microgeneration for renewable energy and all that kind of thing, that maybe Wicklow County or Wicklow Town might be able to get involved in. So that there are places where we collect the data anyway. And so the site specifics, we will have we have the census data for the buildings in Wicklow Town. So we're using that to identify representative buildings from across the Wicklow Town that we can audit, and that we can people then, when we have a report, it won't just, as I said before, it won't just be the people who are in that building will benefit. It'll be all the other people who have similar buildings as well. So we'll have a building to choose those buildings, be it in the houses or in the community or in the businesses. We will have I'm after blocking my slide here. Oh yes, so this is our the budget allows for 4 non-domestic audits. That's your community buildings or your local businesses, and then 8 to 10 domestic surveys, which are of the norm homes across Wicklow. So we'll be in touch with the households and the businesses that are chosen, and it would be great if we could when we chat to you, that what I'm trying to say is having a good relationship with the people who are the homes are being audited is a great thing for us, because it means that the data can be collected easily, and there's minimum disruption for the householders. But of course, this will all have to happen once COVID restrictions have hopefully eased. So The register of opportunities then at the end, this is all the list of energy saving opportunities in your community. There's some of them listed there, so it can be anything from, you know, looking at timers on hot water bottles to air source heat pumps to better insulation. There's tons of things that can be done, but we'll give you the action that can be taken, the impact it will have, and the benefit it will have for your building. And we have it ranked, and then it's the most effective measures. And we have in the appendices of the Energy Master Plan a 2-page report for each of the audit buildings, and that's the standard that we're aiming for, or the interventions that we recommend, and we look at the energy savings and we look at the price and all that kind of thing. That is to bring a building up to the B2 standard in the BER energy rating. And the reason why we do that, it's because that's the opportunity people have to go for a deep retrofit grant. So if you kind of have an idea what will take you to the B2, that's a good guide for you to know, if you were to go for that grant, what the impact would be. And then we have an annual action plan that we, Wicklow Town, will work with us to develop once everything is done. So what will we do in the first year, what will we do in the second year, third year, that kind of thing. So the registry of opportunities will be broken down based on the house type, the suggested measures. It'll show the difference in BER rating following the changes, and then estimated costs as much as we can. And then the non-domestic will look at, again, the energy upgrade measures, and we will also have a section focused on transport. We have an area looking at agriculture, the renewable energy sector, and the public sector. So this is our summary of what I've just said there. So it's around the baseline energy data, having a target for Wicklow SEC, creating a register of opportunities, and looking at what might be possible with renewable energy. And our next step is that we will be implementing or we will be collecting the data for the Energy Master Plan. And following that, then it could be up, the community can look at grant applications once the Energy Master Plan is complete. And really it's up to the community ultimately as to what they want to do with the information that's provided. So I might just, I will hand you over to my colleague Fabian, because I imagine for people on the call who will be involved in the audits, they will want to know a little bit more about what is involved. So Fabian, if you wouldn't mind, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Gonia. Hi, everyone. So as presented before, to have a look at the energy baseline across the SEC area, we'll use national data on available data from a lot of different sources, as SAI website or CSO data. However, as Gonia presented before, the best representation of the consumption in your area is the data collected in your area. So we have two possibilities to do this. So it's to do specific energy audit of houses or the non-domestic buildings. And the second way is to set up an online survey to collect the data from all the community. So first, to discuss about specific domestic energy survey, the SEC committee will select a list of between 8 to 10 houses, and another one will be selected by the draw of the online survey. So it could be very interesting. The houses should be representative of your area, and the overall idea is to show case studies, so example of houses, showing a step-by-step example of energy upgrades. And I just would like to specify one thing, that these energy surveys are not BER assessments. It's not, you won't have a BER certificate at the end. It's really more to give you guidelines for deep retrofit, for example. So before the site visit, we will contact you to confirm some contact details for the site visit, of course. During the site visit, just for you to know, a site visit for this type of audit for an house is roughly for 1 hour, and we will take some drawings, picture, measurement of the house. We will look at building fabric, heating system, lightings, and on the idea as presented by Gunnar before, the idea is to prepare a 2-page report to show a step-by-step energy retrofit guide. So maybe Gunnar, you can switch to the next slide. So yes, so this is an example of a 2-page report from previous project. So again, the idea is really to give you a case study. So if you are looking at, so it's maybe a little small, but the idea is to have on the left-hand side at the top details of the existing building element and heating system. On the left, at the bottom, you will have all the action possible, all the energy efficient measure to improve your house from your existing BR level to a B2 or S3 or more if possible. And in the right, you can have a summary of estimated cost based on previous project, just to give you an idea of the investments. So really, it's to give you a full idea of energy upgrades in a house. And with this, you will have information. So if you are not selected, if you are for an audit, you will have the possibility to compare your house with this example and to be able to look at what you can do possibly in your house. Next slide, maybe Konya. Now we will do the same process with non-domestic buildings. So it could be community center, GA club, B&B. Again, the CC committee will select a list of now for non-domestic building. And the idea is the same: is to have a representative selection to give ideas for the other non-domestic buildings. So, for example, if there are a lot of B&B or a lot of retail in the area, we will look at specifically this example for the other to have ideas of how to improve the building. So it's roughly the same process for the site visit as for domestic, but we will ask you more about the energy consumption, because for bigger building, we will need at least 1 year or better 2 years of energy bills to create an energy profile. But we'll look at the same. We look at building fabric elements, heating system, lighting, catering, if it's about a restaurant or other things. And we will prepare this time a full energy audit report for the owner and for the ACC committee, with a description of all the possible action. And the level of detail for this energy audit report is enough to engage on a BEC application. So it's really a full energy audit report. It's not just a 2-page report, and it's very interesting for the owners or for the SEC committee to have a full view of the process. So in the next slide, again, it's an example of a register of opportunity with details about description of the measure and all the estimated figures in terms of savings, kilowatt-hour savings or cost savings, CO2 emission, and again an estimation of cost for implementing this measure. On this register of opportunity will feed the energy master plan to help the SEC to look at future projects. So this was it was a first possibility to have data. On the next slide, the second possibility to collect data is online surveys. So we have set up 2 online surveys, one for domestic and one for non-domestic. You maybe have already seen this across the Facebook page or Twitter or other networks, but if not, we will resend all the link after the meeting tomorrow or earlier next week. And this online survey will allow everybody in the community to give us for the LCC committee more accurate data to set up our energy master plan. So you will have some question like, so personal data first for the domestic, just to enter into the draw to win a free energy survey, but some question about possible previous building energy rating, of course, idea of estimated annual energy costs, general information about doing or the building, about usage, for example, building element characteristic on same for space heating and domestic hot water, on maybe catering eventually, and as Andrew has said, information about travel mode of transport, because everywhere now the transport is a big issue across the country. There are a lot of questions on it, but just to be kind, you will need maybe between 10 or 15 minutes to complete it. But just for you to know, it's really a very good source of data, because again, the data will come from your area. So we can't have more accurate data than your data for our energy master plan. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Fabian. And just the last thing is, before we go to our question and answer session, and there's been some great questions come in, how you can help is you could fill out the online survey, which we're going to send you all actually by the 5th of February, which is next week, next Friday, and we will send you that after the meeting, along with some notes on the I noticed not everyone is after getting the questions in the chat, so we'll write them out and we'll answer them so that everyone has them. So we'll send you the online survey, one for domestic, one for non-domestic. The more data we can get about Wicklow, the better. We'll have the buildings that will be chosen based on their building type, and they'll be based to represent, or they'll be chosen because they're representative of buildings in Wicklow. So we'll have 10 of those who will be audited for household, and then 4 for community or non-domestic, or for businesses. So when the auditors get in touch with you, when you hear from Fabian or myself or you know, our other colleagues in 3CEA, I hope that you will kind of remember, oh, that's the people that we went on that call with, because it's great for us if we can get a good bit of kind of interest. And you know, it really, like the audit for the household takes a few hours, and once we have that data, then that's fine, and permission to use a photograph of your house, and we just go off and we use that information. So we don't want to disturb people, but we do need to get the information. If you're chatting to a friend this week from Wicklow Town and you let them know about the event tonight and what's happening with the Energy Master Plan, that would be great. They can look at Wicklow Tidy Towns Facebook page, or you know, any of the information that we send you. That, you know, feel free to share that, share it far and wide. And then we have the Wicklow SEC, that's their email there, so we'll be sure to include that on our email afterwards. So I will just go back to the questions. And Fabian, I'll just read them, and then we will, and I'll answer them. Then I'll ask for you to chime in, and Andrew, you might need to chime in as well. So let me go back to the first one. So the first one is, what would a community have budget for if they wish to generate an energy master plan? I agree that local data is vital. So actually, Thomas, I might unmute you if that's okay, because I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that. So let me just go down and unmute you there, and you can explain. There we go. So Thomas there, if you wouldn't mind asking us your question or explaining, sorry.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Perfect. No, thanks very much for the presentation. It was very informative. Just in terms of, say, a community that wanted to develop an energy master plan, you know, where's the starting point? How do they go about
Yeah.
that? In terms of, is it getting in contact with the SEI or
Yeah.
with CCA, and then I suppose how you go about funding a project like this?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Sorry, I misread it a little bit. So yeah, that makes complete sense. So how you go about it is you register as a sustainable energy community in SCAI, and you can go to their website and do that. And you will be allocated a mentor from County Wicklow who will go and basically help you with your goals and what you hope to achieve. And then your community can apply for funding through SEAI, and also this is supported in a way by Wicklow County Council. So you get the money back really for the study that you do, and your energy master plan is based on the size of your community. So depending on the size of your community, you will need a certain number of buildings assessed and put together. So that's how you go around doing an energy master plan. It is possible to gather some of the data from the Central Statistics Office yourself, but it's quite complicated, and you know, the sources are all over really. So I would advise you, if you were interested, it's you know, contact SEAI. There's great support in Wicklow from their Simon Whelan, who is the county mentor, and he'll basically help you through the whole step of it. So I hope that makes sense, Thomas.
Yep, thank you.
That's great. Okay, great. So the next question came from Judy Osborne, and I think actually I can answer this. So I explained that you couldn't go too deeply into renewable energy opportunities, but will the survey of the current situation be able to capture what supply of energy exists in the town at the moment, e.g. PV panels and small wind turbines? So I might explain myself a little bit on that, Judy, and thank you for the question. So what I meant to say about the renewable energy opportunities is that we don't have enough funding or enough time, unfortunately, to do you know, a full feasibility study for, say, a wind farm or a solar farm, you know, that the Wicklow Town might be interested in. But we can do an assessment of what, you know, say, would wind possibly be an opportunity for you? Like, what are the wind rates around, or wind speeds, sorry, what wind rates? Wind speeds around Wicklow? Are you in a special area conservation? All of these things, we can provide you with that information. When it comes to capturing the PV panels and the small wind turbines in Wicklow Town that are already there, oh, sorry. So just let me say before I hand you over to Fabian. So when it comes to household size renewable energy, yes, we will put in information there as to what the opportunities are in Wicklow. But it's the larger scale that we wouldn't be able to do a full feasibility study on. But Fabian, are you able to? I know you can have a breakdown of energy consumption by type, but I don't know if we'd be able to cover individual PV. Oh, Andrew. Yes, Andrew, please answer that if you don't mind. Oh, unmute yourself, Andrew. Oh.
Okay, a number of us have had discussions about finding out all the different producers of renewable energy. I myself put in solar panels last year, and going around the town, there are at least 15 to 20 houses with solar PV. Now, whether they have batteries or not, I'm not sure. So they may or may not be exporting electricity. The government at the moment has a discussion paper out on microgeneration. It's a fairly high level. I'm not too sure whether we as an SEC will make a submission on the document. But we would be interested in getting together all the different producers of solar PV. And there is a group in Tipperary, Community Power, who are interested in buying some of this power, but it is likely that sometime this year, the government will introduce a scheme for the payment surplus electricity by people who are either producing solar power or wind power and have surplus. There will be some sort of a scheme for people to pay. On the larger scale, the SEC did have a meeting last year with a consultant, and we'll probably look this year into the feasibility study of some sort of a community-led solar power station. So we'll have to basically look for a site and see whether it's feasible. Already over in Mayo, one group has already has done all this on an old landfill site, and they've got a connection to the grid. There's no doubt that the government are very keen to get communities involved in power generation. In theory, we should have a good location here because we're onto on a sunny part of Ireland, so it should be possible. The question is there a feasible site? But I think our first aim is to try and get the dwellings and the businesses upgraded, but it is part of our plan to look into the medium term to some sort of a community power facility. But I think that we've got to learn to walk before we can run, but it is very much on our cards.
Thank you, Andrew. Is that captured, Fabian? I haven't had I think that might be captured in the survey, is it?
Yeah, we try to capture this during the survey on again linked with online survey. More we could have answers from domestic and non-domestic. We could have a better idea of what exists at the moment in the area.
Okay, Paul, I will get to you in 2 seconds, but I'm just conscious that Veronica's question, I haven't answered it because she asked it a while ago. So Veronica, you asked about what buildings when I spoke about the Energy Master Plan desk studies. So the buildings, we've already given Wicklow Town SEC a kind of breakdown as to what building types are in Wicklow, and basically then it's the SEC are choosing a certain 10 buildings that are representative of, or 10 homes that are representative of houses across Wicklow Town. So that's how that is being that is being chosen, and I hope that seems straightforward enough. But if your house isn't chosen to be audited, you can still fill out the survey and your information will be incorporated that way. And definitely when the Energy Master Plan is published, I would say to everyone, we have the 2-page reports at the very end. Go to those and look at the individual types of buildings, and you'll be able to find hopefully a building that's similar to yours, and you can take the learnings from it. Or even if there's one that's not completely like yours, the learning, the opportunities for savings have been calculated, and you can see what that would be like in your building. Sorry, Fabian, are you going to say something, or do you?
No, just of course, every house is different from another one. And when you are following some other webinar, it's always a question about idea of savings, idea of cost, idea of feasibility. It's really the reason of to do between 8 or 10 houses in your area. It's just to maybe to have an idea for an old house, for a pretty new house, or for a stone wall construction, or for a cavity wall construction, or with houses who have already heat pump or very hot boiler. You will be able to find really good ideas on each of these 2 pages report, for example. And it could be very interesting. Yes, Andrew?
I'd just like to say that the aim of the SEC will be to help everyone who wants to find out information about how they can improve the energy performance of their dwelling. Doesn't matter whether they have an audit done or not, or a report done. We will help everyone because it's important. For our charter defines that we will lift all boats together. We're not going to try and leave anyone behind. We will work out individual solutions, hopefully with everyone. The aim of the reports will be to get typical surveys done. Wicklow, there are parts of Wicklow which are quite old, over 120 years old. Then there seemed to be a big batch of development around the 30s and 40s and 50s. Then there was another raft of building in the 80s when my own house was built, and now there's the current phase. So there are groups of houses in each category, and we can always look at any property that hasn't been reported on and match it to one of a typical house in the area or in a neighboring estate or whatever. But the aim is that whoever wants to get information from on what to do will be able to achieve it. And our email address, even without a report, you can always email this address, and we will try and, obviously we can't go to our house at the moment. We will enter a discussion as to what you can do at this stage.
Okay, great. Thank you, Andrew. So I will defer to Fabian. And so Stephen, you have raised about the microgeneration scheme, which is currently under public consultation. And if anyone is interested in renewable energy, I'd recommend having a read and contributing to that, because that'll be how we'll be able to sell our energy back to the grid as time goes on. So you have can allow sports groups and community groups for self-generation, and that's a great thing, and excess feedback to the grid. Can the SEC scheme assist groups with that? So if the building is chosen, or if a community or sports building is chosen, we can look into renewable energy opportunities on that building. Whether the rules will be in place for the microgeneration by the time we have the energy master plan finished, I'm not sure. But then that's something that the SEC group might look at and continue on with as an opportunity, if that makes sense. Yes. Based on what way the building is facing, or kind of what conditions it's in. So yes, so that's something could be looked at, and I suppose it gives a whole other kind of aspect to energy production now, because before we would have been looking at community energy buildings that would use all their energy, but now of course it could be that, or it will be, sorry I should say, by the summer, that you will be able to sell it back into the grid, although the rules around that haven't been written out yet. So Veronica had a question about mixed-use buildings. So a converted warehouse where half of it is a business and half of it is a household. Fabian, does she do both surveys?
Building domestic business, converted warehouse, living quarters, produce a shopping. We do both survey. They do both survey. It depends. Specific case. Right now, I can't be sure. It depends more maybe about how many meters you have in the house, and if in terms of patrimonial aspect, if it's
Veronica,
separate,
if you want to give us an email after this, sorry, that might be easier. So we'll be in touch, and if you send us back an email on just basically area, is that it, Fabian? For the we can follow up with you on that. And yes, please send the survey on to others. We want as many people to input as possible in the area. So have you chosen the buildings for the auditing? That's still going on, Anne. Rumours that you will need a B or of B3 or better to qualify for the FIT payments or for excess solar generation. To be honest, John, I'm still sitting down myself to have a look through that. But yes, I suppose whether it's in this bit of legislation or in another piece of legislation, the government are always looking to incentivize people to improve the building energy rating of their building. So I imagine that there will be different requirements for different funding going forward, that people will need to be getting up to the higher, the more efficient building type or building standard. So really that kind of goes back to what you were saying, Andrew, as well, around kind of preparing for the future and giving yourself a comfortable home, but also one that you hopefully can avail of whatever government supports there are. Now, Paul Pender, or Paul, you had your hand up, and I will go down to you now and just unmute you. If I can figure it out. Mary, do you mind? I
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Hello there, everybody. How are you? Great presentation. I work for a company called Solar Electric, so it was just something that Andrew said there I picked up on. The feed-in tariffs should be coming in July. The problem is nobody knows exactly what they are yet. If you install a PV panel at the moment, you have to be connected to the grid. The heat tubes, which the old style solar panels, they were never connected. They were literally only for hot water in your house. Whereas the PV panels they have to be connected to the grid because the inverters and that need power for them to run. So as the technology gets a bit better, smart meters will be coming in, and as soon as the tariffs kick in, we're not sure yet how they're going to be paid. Will it be a credit or will it be a biannual payment or something? There is I think it's Energia are offering to buy power at 7.4 cent per unit exported. But we're not sure if that's real or not because they are not a registered energy purchaser. So it's kind of a little bit of a grey area still at the minute. I suppose, again, June comes in, a lot more things will become clear on it. So that's just where we're and if anybody's interested, solarelectric.ie.
Very good.
Answer any questions, okay?
Yeah, it's a real period of change at the moment for everyone. And I think the timing, and obviously with us, we wanted to have this process started, but COVID just threw everything at us. But the thing is, we're getting started now as soon as we can get out on site. And you know, for Wicklow to have a good analysis of where you stand at the moment, and be able to participate in all these great initiatives that the government are putting forward, you know, is brilliant stuff, really. Not to say that it won't be without its challenges, but yeah, it's a good time for this because it's not, you know, there's opportunities to go further with it. So Michael, you've asked what's the email address on Microgeneration, so that's something as well we can include in the email address, or in the email address afterwards if anyone wants to have a look and see what the story is. So the last comment there is for Jonas, and thank you very much for saying you're happy to be part of the meeting tonight, that he was born and raised in Sweden and in the last done the last 16 years in the south of Sweden as a master plumber, all different types of buildings. And I will actually include that because it's a good long read. I'll include that on the right. Yes, so you were saying about very expensive heat and electricity bills, yes, which we experience here, and you'd like to see better insulation. Well, this is actually, thank you for raising that, because when we come to looking at buildings, and sorry about this, guys, I know obviously I'm reading this and no one can see it, but Jonas has mentioned about improving the fabric of the building first, and then, you know, kind of looking at heat pumps and energy saving lights and sensors and all these different things. And obviously as well going for more electric vehicles, planning for that in Wicklow. But for us, the main thing we want to do is give people advice, you know, kind of work in from the outside of the buildings and kind of have those as efficient as possible, reduce your costs as much as you can. And then hopefully as time goes on, you know, you can invest more in more and more energy efficiency as you're saving money. And, you know, there may be opportunities for Wicklow Town to look at charging places, which Jonas has mentioned there. So there's a lot. It's a big, now that we're after going through it, Fabian and I need to take a deep breath because it's a lot of information, and, you know, but we're very lucky that Wicklow Tidy Towns are a great organisation. They're collecting tons of information. Yes, Andrew, would you like to say something there just before we take on?
One of the steering group members has had an electric car for the last 3 or 4 years. So it was good experience in terms of the pros and cons. A number of also have solar power, so we have good experience in the pros and cons. I think it has been, for me now, I only have had it for 4 or 5 months. It's been a fascinating experience to have that bit of solar power, so that I've put up enough that when I switch on the kettle, I can see it coming from the roof. And it's like having your own allotment on your roof where you're growing your own vegetables. To be growing your own power is absolutely a huge feeling. I know I'm going to save a few bob as well, but it is a genuine feeling good that you're generating your own energy. It really is. But we're going to use all our experience, and that's one of the things I tried out this so I could get experience. It looks as though under the tariff thing that you're going to have to be using 70% of the power yourself. They don't want people just sticking up solar power with the whole aim of selling it. They don't want to distort the market, and they don't want to put too much of an advantage into people who can just afford to put any amount of solar panels. And I think they're also, one of the things is that the planning rules are going to be relaxed so that you can have more than 50% of the roof covered in solar panels without needing planning approval. So there's a whole lot of things involved, and hopefully we'll be in a better position with this by June, July.
Excellent. So if well, I'll just see if I have any other slides. No, that's the questions and answers. So as I mentioned before, we'll and I've made a note, so we'll have the surveys, we'll send out to you. We're going to have the recording as well on the email, so it'll take us a few days to kind of get that sorted up on our YouTube. Actually, no, it won't. Sure, we'll just, I think we said that, Mary, that we'll just put our YouTube page. Oh, I've just had a reminder there from Mary. Yes, Mary, I would like to launch the poll. So after everything we've heard there tonight, we'd like to know kind of where people stand, if they kind of understand or if they'd like more information or whatever it is. But we're on the end of an email anyway, and Andrew is happy to be contacted as well. So it's good for us to have a little bit of knowledge around where people are standing at it. And this is, it's an undertaking, but it's this, it's the start of this part of the journey, and then we'll get our full picture about Wicklow, and then we'll start hopefully on the next part of the journey, which is, looking at the projects that Wicklow Town can do. So I think just about half the people have responded there now, so I'll leave it for a few minutes. Yes, so on our email we'll have the surveys. Please feel free to spread them far and wide. We'll be getting in touch, COVID allowing, with households. Fabian, when roughly would you say? Well, I suppose we can't do anything until, well, when I say we can't do anything, we're actually collecting the data and we're pulling it all together and we're doing as much as we can. But when it comes to household audits, we'll be looking at middle of March, late March, based on COVID restrictions. Fabian, is that right?
Yeah, yes, of course. When we have some good news from the government and some good news from the figures of COVID, of course,
yeah,
we will try to use as soon as possible the time allocated between two lockdowns just to go on site and to do all the site visits. So when we will have the green light, we will contact everybody and try to set up all the site visits in a really short period of time, because just for example, between the two previous lockdowns, we only had maybe 1 month and a half just to organize all of this. So it's very short, but hopefully we can start mid-March if possible.
Grand. And I might just stop the poll there. So let's just see. So that's great. A lot of people who attended today are happy to be involved, be it through the survey or the audit. That's fine. There's a few people it's not for them. Oh, no worries. And yeah, we're happy to share more information on that. And this is what we're here for, to make sure people are clear on what's going to happen and how they can get involved. Okay. So I think that's it. I will stop sharing, and thank you very much.